Good morning, welcome. Yet another day, the last one, to round this off in meeting room number 4, the chapel, Pro Negocio, Pro Business. There are many things we will be dealing with. We will travel around the globe. And you know, you have the hashtag, the official hashtag Madrid platform, where you can share anything that might be of interest to you. And you know, you have simultaneous interpretation should you need it in Spanish and in English if you're following us online. So we will be dealing now with the next generation funds. Funding intended to foster the energy transition that is so needed in the cities. And to that end, we have Cristina Moreno, the Secretary of the Municipalities Federation in Spain, and Roberto Antonio, Director in Engineering at Polytechnical University of Madrid, Director of PFI, and also Luis Cabrera, Director for Sustainability in CBRE in Spain, and Raúl Alcázar from MSH Global. He will be hosting this panel. So over to you. Thank you, and thank you for coming and for sharing your insights in this panel. Today we will be dealing with the next generation funds and see how the municipalities can tap into this resource, more specifically the municipalities also here in Madrid. To that end, we have experts with us today. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And I would also like to thank our audience here in person and also the ones joining us remotely. So let's get started. Roberto de Antonio, he is Director in Engineering and very knowledgeable in sustainability matters, and he is part of a company that has a long track record in photovoltaic PV projects. So over to you. Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity. This is a most interesting event. At long last, we have a tool that links us up with Latin America. I'd like to briefly introduce you to these funds, and we're going to try and see how we can channel this opportunity towards sustainability. It is a window of opportunity to do things in a different way, to break new ground. And therefore, we're going to be looking into, you see, it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. I corrected the text. And if we talk about energy transition and sustainability, we oftentimes talked about big wind and solar power projects, and we forget the cities, because electricity is only one part of the equation. We have high costs in mobility, transportation, housing, so it is a major topic. Cities are responsible for the majority of polluting agents worldwide. And obviously, the big cities have their resources, their technicians. They can go for sustainable mobility. But what about the smaller and medium-sized municipalities? And what about the municipalities that are close to these big urban areas? They are close, they bear the brunt too, but they're not reaping any benefits. So let's see what's what with these funds that are in everybody's mind, that are the buzzword, and how can we address a project that could help the majority of these municipalities. So, the peri-urban space. At the end of the day, we're talking about people who are around big cities in areas that grow and invade what usually previously was an agricultural area, a rural area. So it's neither rural nor city. It's something in between that is not defined yet. But it is suffering the impact of the big cities, the speedways, the big transport grids, the energy towers, the high-speed train tracks. Everything occupies part of that area around the cities. We see that these areas grow, sometimes a lot, in a little sustainable manner, but we definitely need to join up and create a project that would help us do things differently in the peri-urban areas. You will be seeing that Madrid is a big whole. This is the energy balance of Madrid community. You see, it's a huge energy hole, and it doesn't produce, well, about 4 or 5 small panels that you see appearing on the roofs. That amounts to practically nothing. So in energy terms, the big cities are big holes of energy. They consume energy, and the peri-urban areas suffer due to all the infrastructures that entails. You know the problems with the grid connection, PV, and where are the huge connection interfaces? Well, close to the big cities, there are many projects, and the infrastructures are going to be deployed around these peri-urban areas. That is precisely the argument we have with many mayors. So, for example, they say, listen, the truck is going to go through your territory and you're not going to reap any benefit, for example, in cases of high-speed train tracks, for instance. So 70% of noxious pollution is due to the big cities. We have a huge opportunity here. We are leading in renewables, but if we don't tackle the problems that cities pose, the big cities pose, this is going to lead us nowhere. And we do have representatives from the political power. Every green policy is a success story. I mean, we do have a track record, so we know, and fortunately, we have advanced a lot in our own professional career. But if you ask the citizen is way ahead of the policy and the decision-making. People do know what the different green renewable energies are, and that is power. And we do need to convey that message. You have the UN, the European Union, the Ministry for Ecological Transition. Everything points us in the direction of a completely different world. Yesterday, the Spanish Parliament passed a law in this sense. And it's not only the big cities. The big cities have the necessary know-how and resources. So they can do well. But what about the cities that have 40,000 or maybe 400,000 citizens? They are equally entitled to tap into the opportunity of the green economy. And it's a selling point. I insist. You have, for example, the pact of mayors of municipalities, where municipalities commit to a number of things that they want to do, and they sign up, and you have the possibility to tap into funding and subsidies from the European Union. So the Next Generation funds are an opportunity. It's a stimulus package. At the end of the day, a lot of money. I mean, you know the numbers. Everybody wants to be there, obviously. But so where do we stand now? The plan, the national plan, has been approved in Spain, and it has been submitted to Brussels for its approval there. So foreseeably, about mid-July, we will get the go-ahead. And for the rest of the year, from the summer to the end of the year, we need to pick up speed and prepare all the projects. We don't know yet exactly how much is going to go to the regions or to the municipalities or to the central government, but it's a pack. And what we know is that we do need to get organized. So the peri-urban areas and cities. Everybody signs up for the green, for the digital, gender equality. These are buzzwords and popular topics. But there are cities that suffer this peri-urban syndrome, and they need ecological transition, sustainable and electrical mobility, and everything has to be electrified. And that's what I want to present you with. The ministry says, okay, 2 billion for sustainable mobility, 1.6 billion for biodiverse system. Why can't we create PV settings that will allow for this recovery? That's another line of thought. But then deployment of storage facilities and of grids. We, in these municipalities in the peri-urban area, need to harness this potential. And that's what this project is about. What we called it Green Peri-Urban. We started to work with PFI and CBRE, DH Eco Energias, and we want to count 15 municipalities around Madrid, but we can go even further if you want. But the idea is that with our support and consultancy, we want to develop a project that will allow for energy integration with a legal base that has been there for a year and a half, that allows shared self-consumption. We always think about solar, but we also have thermal energy, for example, that is integral shared energy consumption with the self-production capability. For example, in industrial lots where we have untapped potential that could be used, or surface that is degraded, old landfills, for example. There is a lot of surface that goes unused in the peri-urban municipalities, and that's a great opportunity. We need to integrate that with the sustainable mobility. If we need to develop a grid in the center of a city, why not provide the recharge points for e-vehicles? Why not? That's absolutely feasible. We can do that in one go. And the citizens are going to consume intelligently, smartly, so that at all time we know who's producing, who is consuming, and at what cost, and with what profitability. And we can do that with this project. And if you do your calculations, if you crunch the numbers, you get very interesting insights. We are thinking about 15,000 homes. A part of them will be refurbished. You need to do something about the housing. There is need for refurbishing, and that's a very important part. I think 6 billion are foreseen for the housing ministry, and you do need to do refurbishing along energy criteria. So you need to be energy efficient so that you can reduce or even phase out the use of fossil fuels as a source of heating and cooling. So with the funds, this is feasible and would create 1,000 jobs. That's money that we will not be paying in the future to oil-producing countries, and thus there'll be less money for the oil tankers that use our territorial waters, and that's, at the end of the day, money that we will keep close at hand in our peri-urban areas. And that's, at the end of the day, what I call circular economy. Yes, return, profitability. I mean, what I don't spend elsewhere, I can use to boost my surroundings. And that's important. If gas and oil and other sources cost less, obviously that's interesting. What we sell or install can be produced by ourselves in a facility close by. It could be important for a community and reduce enormously CO2 emission. So 52,000 tons a year would mean substituting the vehicles of a city like Alcalá de Henares, about 300,000 citizens worth of urban area, and we can reduce the emissions in a city if we substitute these fuel sources. So that's the money that's going to stay here in my surrounding, and that, in my understanding, is circular economy, and it means that people will be able to save costs. So you have more money in your pocket, families will have a better saving margin. If these 17, I mean, we are talking 3.5 million euros that can be saved year after year. And we will be saving and substituting fossil fuels more. So digitalization is going to force us to innovate using the best source and balancing offer and demand. That's feasible, but we need to endeavor and to keep improving to reduce energy poverty. The best way to go is to pay less. And we are aligned with what Europe wants. This kind of project is what they call an eligible project along the lines of the taxonomy regulation. You can't do whatever you please. You can't fund, for example, a refinery, let's say, or gas transporting trucks, for example. That's what the European Union wants, and that's already regulated by the taxonomy regulation in the EU. It's a green project, doubtlessly, and as I said, we are on the lookout for between 10 and 15 municipalities to address this energy transition integral project with urban refurbishment and circular economy. Let me very briefly introduce our company. We're about 20 professionals with a proven track record at an international level. We've dealt mainly with PV, with bioenergy, with consulting. And right now, we're very focused in the development of PV sustainable energy projects. We don't want these huge PV energy farms, but much smaller projects that are closer to the point of interest where the energy is needed, dealing with degraded areas and combining PV with agriculture. I really do think PV projects of this size and profile are the future. We have worked with very important players worldwide, and today we are in Chile, in Namibia, in Spain mainly, and to a lesser degree in countries in the south of Africa. Well, I think I have kept the time allotted, and now I give over the micro to my colleagues.
Roberto, for your great presentation. Your presentation has been very good in order to get to know your proposal. And now we would like to know Christina's opinion in order to see how we can channel the money coming from the European Union, what ideas you have. Thank you very much. I'm Cristina Morena. I'm part of the Madrid Federation of Municipalities. I'm the Secretary General. It would be difficult to work without the collaboration of all our colleagues. Well, what's the Federation of Municipalities? Many people from many different countries are watching us, so they should know a little bit about us. It's a non-profit association that gathers 179 municipalities in Madrid. Municipalities with 3 million people, like Madrid, with the mayor, José Almeida, which is hosting us. It's the biggest municipality in Madrid. So we are a hub for the rest of the region. And then we have smaller municipalities with less than 50 inhabitants, like Robregordo and some others. So the comparison is quite considerable, 3.5 million in Madrid and less than 50 people in other municipalities. So our federation gathers, as I said, 179 municipalities in the autonomous community of Madrid, and there is one federation per region. All of them make up the Spanish Federation of Municipalities and Provinces. There is a board made of 25 mayors. We have working groups, 17 working groups with 17 members in each working group. We are all very involved in working in a very democratic way. Everything is discussed at length. And we always try to work on a consensus basis. All mayors, no matter the size of their municipality, no matter their political affiliation, they try to seek consensus. And I would like to also tell you our position in the administration. As you all know, the Spanish administration is divided in the state administration, the regional administration, and the local administration. That's what we have, all municipalities. And our organization is the stakeholder that is in touch with the rest of the administration, especially the regional administration. And we have always been the little brother in this scenario. And we are recognized and valued because We all have a mayor in our city, and they are the ones that are applying the policies that have an effect on citizens. How do we help citizens? We do that in very many different ways. We provide technical and political assistances to all town halls. We are part of all the fora representing the Federation of Municipalities, and all mayors are participating, as well as regional councillors. And we provide mainly technical assistance to small municipalities because they are very often in serious trouble. Imagine the situation of the mayor of a small village with a population of 50 people, just one person working at the town hall. And at that village, there are probably gardens to be taken care of, streets to be cleaned. So it's important to help all those municipalities. It's not the same thing being the mayor of Madrid than being the mayor of a very small village. And the Federation of Municipalities is helping everyone as much as possible. As I said, the Federation is a technical and political tool in order to help all municipalities. And why are we here at Madrid platform? What's our goal? What are municipalities here if in an investment forum? Madrid is going to receive 140 billion euros, and we are asking for 15% of that money because we provide 15% of our income to the administration. So we believe we should receive the same amount of European funds. And town halls are going to be in charge of implementing all those projects. We are going to have to manage many projects in a short period of time, as Roberto said. And therefore, we are going to need people like you. That's why we are here, because we are going to need you. We're going to need your help. Town halls, apart from that, have to comply with the country agenda, with the Agenda 2030. And we are fully committed. We are also obliged to comply with the SDGs. We keep them in mind all the time. All mayors know they have to comply with the SDGs, and some mayors are complying with SDGs and they don't even know that they're doing that. And as I always say, it's all about growth, growing in a sustainable way without leaving anyone behind. This is a good summary of the mayor's objectives in our federation. I've been a mayor of a city, and I think that all crises have to be considered opportunities to grow, and this is perhaps the biggest crisis we've gone through in the last few years, and it's a great opportunity for town halls. So we have to improve the economy in our cities, and we have an opportunity to create a new social cohesion and territorial cohesion model in our cities. We have to adapt our city projects. Every city has its own project, but we have to adapt all projects, and we have to rethink cities as well. Considering town planning, for example, we have to favor pedestrians and not so much vehicles. We have to be committed to green energy. We need smart tourism. We have to go towards a new economic paradigm in order to transform our environment. So we need a new digital transformation of the economy, which is going to be tackled by municipalities because municipalities are closest to citizens. And I'll tell you once again why we are here. We are here because we cannot carry out this transformation on our own. We have to do everything together. If we want a multiplying effect of each action, we have to work together, public administration and private sector. If we want to have a multiplying effect, we have to collaborate. And to conclude, I would like to ask companies the following. When they think about municipalities' needs, I would ask them to think about their families. We all live in a city. There is always a mayor leading the city. So companies should think, what could my company offer the city so that my family had a better quality of life? That's a key thought. How could my family have better public services, better culture offer, better services, better healthcare? How should we work in a city in order to avoid social exclusion so that those lagging behind do not lag behind anymore, can make progress? I think all these premises make up what we have to do. And we can all reach the following conclusion. Investing in public services will be good for everyone, because whatever is public, all public services belong to all of us. So companies have a very important responsibility too in the management of European funds. And all this will be beneficial if we generate quality employment and we continue to grow in a sustainable way without leaving anyone behind. I think that municipalities play a leading role because we are very close to citizens. Thank you very much. Yes, sustainable growth without leaving anyone behind. Thinking about the citizen and thinking about collaborating all together, because as you said, mayors are the ones in charge of solving problems, and mayors know what's happening to citizens. So we should think about citizens and their families when we think about initiatives to benefit everyone. Luis, you are the director of sustainability of a big multinational company. You are a leader in real estate market. So we would like to know your viewpoint on European funds. You are a big consulting company, so what's your view? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation to Madrid platform. I was just about to applaud while you were speaking, Cristina, and Roberto's intervention was also very interesting too. I think we all speak the same language here, and we are also citizens. So, what's a company like CBRE doing in this sector? We are the biggest manager of buildings in Spain. So when you walk into a building, any type of building, office building, malls, most of them are managed by our company, CBRE, and the same happens worldwide. Football fields, we manage all types of facilities. So when I listen to people talk and say that we are the leading company, I said, well, the state, the administration is the one playing the leading role, and then we are the second ones. Because, of course, the state, the public administration is managing more assets than we do. So sustainability is absolutely key. It is the area I'm representing here. In my company, what we do in terms of sustainability is the following. Well, we have a lot of experience and we facilitate the implementation of all the necessary policies in buildings. And we have to think about very many technical aspects and also aspects regarding the 2030 agenda. I'm not following my script. I'm saying things according to what I heard before. But at the end of 2019, The climate summit was held in Madrid. Next one will be held in Chile with a collaborative approach between countries, as you well know. At that summit, we saw that things had changed in the field of sustainability because we saw that the focus was on climate change. All representatives agreed on that, all political representatives, as well as the financial industry. All financial stakeholders agreed on that. And this is very important for private company. I'll tell you about my personal experience within the company. In the past few years, we all thought that sustainability was key, energy efficiency, renewable energies, contribution to many initiatives, inclusion of disabled people. But companies used to do all that, but it was not a key area for them. But a couple of years ago, people started to think about sustainability, about the elderly at all times, and the highest representatives at political level, they say sustainability is absolutely key for humanity. We have climate change strategies, the UN agenda for sustainability, as Roberto said, the 2030 agenda, which is wonderful. The logo types for the 17 SDGs are great too. And these objectives were devised in order to provide a script to cities and to municipalities. And now private companies have decided that they have to follow that agenda and those objectives. And now that agenda is part of our strategic plans. Now we are talking about macro initiatives. There are investment plans, and we are very lucky because COVID has been a big issue for all of us, but now we are going to get funds, and this is a great opportunity. And we have a lot of funding for green projects. And for the first time ever, we have more funds than we can use in green projects. There are soft loans. We have aid, financial aid that does not have to be returned, and everything is working. And as I said, now we have more funding than we can spend because we have to devise projects. All those funding lines, when private companies intervene and when the public sector intervenes, well, we do not have enough projects to apply for the funding. So I think we are going through a transformation area. As Cristina said, the public administration and private companies have to go hand in hand. No matter who you talk to, we all agree on that. We have held meetings with the Environment Ministry, which is also in charge for ecological transition, and we are all part of the transition. And we should all benefit from all these strategies because we are all citizens, we are all workers, we all go to buildings, we all go to offices, we all go to work. And therefore, we should work in a collaborative manner. And as Roberto said, we have a unique opportunity to aggregate projects. It is important to know what we have to do. We have specific regulation for that. We have to reduce the carbon footprint too. We have regulation on energy transition. All this could have been a little bit more ambitious, but in any case, it will be reviewed. But we have a great opportunity, and now we know what we have to do according to regulation, but now we know how to do things. Now, private companies know what municipalities have to do in order to comply with this agenda and achieve a competitive edge. Municipalities compete among themselves. And then we as citizens vote for our leaders. So we need to know what's going on in our cities. So citizens ask mayors, what are you doing in terms of the 2030 agenda? What are you doing for sustainability? What are you doing so that people don't lag behind? And I think that private companies are absolutely ready and willing to work together with the public administration.
Thank you, Luis. To round this off, I'd like to pick your brains. How can we refurbish whole areas, neighborhoods, and I don't know, use the Green Deal to that end? Well, that's quite obvious, but it's information that's very useful. Like Madrid municipality, it's a lot of surface, a lot of impact. The scale is huge. And we do have different scales in typology of projects. We can go by buildings, one building after the other. But this is too limited. It's not a one-off. Now we have a liquid border. Buildings are part of cities, and cities need to promote these urban projects. Only of late, we were talking about this new project in the northern part of Madrid, aligned with sustainable mobility. And these are projects that have a huge impact on the city. And all these ideas are being incorporated into the project. We have very competent technical teams, the best of all the different partners, and we have very permeable projects at the European levels because they learn from other benchmark projects that have been a success elsewhere, and they even learn from failures elsewhere because that counts too. So some projects that are being currently developed in Madrid and also elsewhere do have the green agenda in mind and at all scales. Mobility is also very important. Roberto referred to that before. Mobility, transportation is emitting 30–40% of CO2 emissions. So we've been really reflecting on this, how we can make a contribution. So mobility is on everyone's agenda. how policymakers can foster projects that improve the mobility, that create a better impact in the cities, more specifically. So that's another type of change we can deal with. Roberto, I don't know if you want to chip in, or maybe we'll get the insight from the municipalities. Now, the renovation of whole neighborhoods. There are marvelous initiatives along these lines, and that's really a social project. Not only a building, but a whole neighborhood. That's wonderful, and wonderful things are being done to date. And you have the energy impact, renewables, e-mobility. That is really the way to go. We should really grow less and refurbish and renovate more. Excuse me, if you allow me. Okay, I never know where to stand. So, thank you so much. That's been most interesting. I would say that Madrid platforms should take up these issues in the coming years. And we need to see how the companies and how the legal framework can change to also deal with the responsibility that all the stakeholders have. That's it for now. In a few minutes, we will be back on and travel around the world. Thank you.